Hello, hello, and hello, and hello, and hello, and hello, and hello. Somer del Piso here once again. Today, we're in the middle of nowhere, as per usual. We always like to venture out on our days out and get ourselves lost. So we've done that again today, but actually I have purpose with this video, so worry not. What we're gonna do is we're going to analyze one of the books, or one of the chapters of the books of one of my favorite authors ever. His name is Aldous Huxley. Now, Aldous Huxley, who is this guy? What does he mean to, in general? So, what does he mean to me? He was kind of like a surrogate father growing up. I fell upon him randomly. I was watching Get Him to the Greek. You know, I really liked Russell Brand's character. Russell Brand's character in the movie was called Aldous Snow. Aldous Snow, I looked him up. As I was typing Aldous, I think Google auto answers gave me Aldous Huxley. I'm like, who the heck is Aldous Huxley? Then I started looking at his repertoire of books, and I looked at, the summaries, the synopses and whatnot. Very interesting stuff. This is when I was back in high school. So I just decided to give some of his books a read, and lo and behold, he was very inspiring. I read Chrome Yellow. That was his first book ever, basically mirroring his experience of being on a writer's retreat. Doors of Perception, super short read. Brave New World Revisited. I forget the other, Antic Hay, or whatever that thing is called. The Island, you name it, I've read it by Aldous Huxley. So what we're gonna read again today is the Adonis and the Alphabet. It's a book of essays that Aldous written, pertaining to many, many different things. He has a chapter on canned tuna. He has a chapter on friendship, something like that. So we're gonna read the appendix, which has a lot to do with semen retention. So like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. Let me pull up the book here. Then we actually have to flip to the end. Oh, we're here. All right, so he has an interesting take on the whole semen retention thing. He doesn't call it semen retention, he calls it sexual continence. They're the same thing. Of course, you're not releasing whatsoever. You're not looking at adult material. You don't have any girlfriend. You're not, playing who has the rainbow role, right? You're not playing any of that. You are just solely being celibate. You are solely being sexually continent. It is very hard in the modern world, as per usual, especially the longer you stay on this practice, the more you'll get tempted, but it is life. You must triumph over it, because you are one of the special ones. If you're even getting that far in the practice, no one's doing this, man. No one's doing this. Let's just read a little bit of what he has to say in relevance to sexual continence, which, as we know, is called semen retention. By the way, Aldous Huxley passed away a very, very long time ago. He asked to be given a dose of LSD before he passed, which is interesting. Every civilization is, among other things, an arrangement for domesticating the passions and setting them to do useful work. Powerful stuff. The domestication of sex presents a problem. Okay, what is he saying, Huxley? Whose solution must be attempted on two distinct levels of human experience, the psychophysiological and the social. On the social level, the relations of the sexes have everywhere been regulated by law and uncodified custom, by taboo and religious ritual. True, right? I guess, for the most part, we can't walk around super naked and sleep with each other in public, even though some people still do that. Religions sort of tell us to, be continent, be celibate. Or for the special ones, at least that's what Jesus was saying in the New Testament in regards to eunuchs for the sake of eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, I guess he's right to some degree, right? On the social level, the relations of the sexes have sort of been regulated by religion, by uncodified law. Let's see what else he has to say. Hundreds of volumes have been filled with accounts of these regulations, and it is unnecessary to do more than mention them in passing. Our present concern is with the problem of domesticating sex at the source, of civilizing its manifestations in the individual lover. I'm gonna tell you something. He was alive around the 40s or the 50s or something, I forget. Aldous Huxley was alive a very long time ago, but a lot of what he said was very prophetic to some degree. It was like this, for example. He's saying that sex should be not subdued, but sort of neutralized at its source, in order to continue the operations of day-to-day life. And they're doing a very good job at that right now. I mean, sperm count in men have been lowered by a huge amount. As men, we have way less sperm than men 20 years ago, 15 years ago. A lot of us have erectile dysfunction. Disclaimer, I am not indirectly talking about my personal experience because I don't think I have a problem with either issue. But this is an issue, right, worldwide. They're not functioning sexually the way that they used to. And I think that is due to a lot of maybe government intervention, a lot of corporations that are allowed to put a lot of bad things in our food, microplastics, genetically modified products, synthetic ingredients that affects our hormones and our sexual health in more ways than one. So he was a little prophetic with that little comment there. This is a subject to which in our Western tradition we have paid much too little attention. If only he was alive now. Indeed, it is only in very recent years that thanks to the declining influence of Judeo-Christian ethic, we have been able to discuss it realistically. This is interesting. So this is back in the 50s when he's talking about the church, the influence of the church on the people, sort of lessening and eroding. Now, if only Aldous Huxley was around, there's no, you say Jesus Christ, you will invite the ear of the individuals around you. They will think that you're a bigot. They will think that you're some sort of toxic masculine individual. They'll think that you're some sort of monsters from the beyond. If only Aldous Huxley was around now and he can give us some beautiful essay and then, go back to whatever realm or dimension he's in now. No offense, I would wish that he would be around with us much longer, but anyway, let's continue. Just as a feedback for that, Judeo-Christianity right now is demonized. As how people used to view Satan back in his day is now how we view Judeo-Christianity. I think having that a realistic conversation is good. You have to understand how things literally work. In the past, the problem used to be dealt with in one or other of three equally unsatisfactory ways. Either it was not mentioned at all, with the result that adolescents coming to maturity were left to work out their sexual salvation. They call it sexual salvation. Oh my goodness, I am feeling turned on by this girl that I used to tease and run around chasing in the playground. Oh, salvation. What I like about Aldous Huxley is that he's British. So naturally the words that he just uses fit the situation, although albeit they're more than like 3 syllables, they work so well with the pertinent situations that he describes. I love British authors to the death. Let's see what else he says. Unassisted within the framework of the prevailing and generally barbarous social-legal system, right? Or else it was mentioned, but mentioned on the one hand with obscene delight or obscene disapproval. Usually it's like, okay, I'm feeling very, very weird, Mom. I feel like perhaps doing things with my nether regions with another person of the opposite sex's nether regions. How dare you? That's the obscene disapproval or disapproval, but then the obscene delight is like, oh my goodness, my son, he has gotten into sexual maturity, or he's exploring it now. Let's teach him, let's guide him so he doesn't do the wrong thing like I did, which resulted in having him. A lot of parents that were not planning to be parents, but although they conceived the act, I think like this, they think that they made some sort of error and they regret their decisions. No one thinks really about the decisions or the actions that they commit. They just do things. They follow their natural impulses without any sort of regard or personal appraisal of themselves. I believe we're gonna change. We're gonna ascend, don't you worry. With a vague and all too spiritual sentimentality. Yes, that's very true. Spiritual sentimentality. On my channel, Sombra del Piso, right? I love the idea of ascending. I love the idea of being celibate. I love the idea of powering up physically, mentally. But the thing, and of course, with the backings of spirituality. We read about Buddhism. We read about the powers of God and, Gnosticism. Hinduism, of course, and how that relates to sexual continence. However, there needs to be a physical appraisal of the acts of why you're getting into sexual continence in the first place. And I think that in the past, when religion, used to take prominence in the mental states of a lot of individuals, we were not allowed to have such a conversation. It sucks that it's funny after we've discarded, religion nowadays, Jesus Christ, how dare you? stone him, kill him. Shing, shing, shing. Now that we're at this point in time where, you know, Jesus' name is sort of synonymous with evil somehow by the people that don't understand him or hasn't read the Bible, we are now getting into understanding the realistic actions and just the processes of the sexual urge. Now, of course, we're eventually going to make a return to traditionalism, religion, but I think that's going to happen way far in the future. Let's continue. Today we are condemned neither to silence nor obscenity nor sentimentality. We are at liberty at last to look at the facts and to ask ourselves what, if anything, can be done about them. One of the best ways of discovering what can be done is to look at what has been done. Naturally, you have to look at history to find out how not to repeat history, or to just understand if these problems popped up before and if there's a solution, so you're not going all the way around the mountain and figuring out an answer that's been figured out already. What experiments have been made in this field and how successful have they been? Interesting stuff, interesting stuff. Aldous is always asking the right questions, man. He's always saying the right things. All right, now we get into somewhere interesting. So, Noyes, right? John Humphrey Noyes in 1844 wrote in the 4th chapter of his Bible and Communism book. I've never even heard of this book before in my life. What is this? And again, at greater length in his male continence. So it's so interesting. There's a lot of all the male writers, a lot of them that talk about the Bible, they automatically get into sexual continence. And a lot of course, that stuff is not even talked about in mainstream media because they just want us to be mindless sex addicts so we can be further bastardized and have further validation to destroy our masculinity. This is reality. But this is interesting. Let's see what he has to say about male continence. Written more than 20 years later, 20 years later after Bible communism, Noyes set forth his theories of sex and described methods employed by himself and his followers for transforming a wild, God-eclipsing passion into a civilized act of worship, a prime cause of crime and misery into a source of individual happiness, social solidarity, and good behavior. Of course, a lot of these good aspects of being sexually continent, you know, have to do, it reminds me of what was said by Reuben in the Testament of Reuben, that chapter in the apocryphal book of the Bible. But this is what happens. He's saying transform, this guy, Noyes, he's saying transform, of course, Aldous Huxley is referencing it. So we got to thank Aldous Huxley for even bringing light to this rather obscure book. You have to have this God-eclipsing sexual passion that we all feel naturally as males, as females, as individuals. We have to somehow transmute that into having it serve us so we can build things and innovate society and bring it to where society is meant to run, it's meant to be ran, right? In an ergonomic, effective way. Interesting stuff for individual happiness and social solidarity. Imagine if most of the males in this neighborhood over here were sexually continent, right? We're all in the same wavelength. Of course, naturally, semen retention will bring us, or sexual continence, same thing, will bring us all into not the same mindset, but the same ideas about a lot of things. We'll come together and then we'll have ideas on how to further build society in a very, very powerful way. That's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. We're just too caught up. It sucks. It sucks. But it's gonna happen eventually. So I have belief and faith in that. Right? Let's see what else. It is held in the world that Noyes writes in Bible Communism that the sexual organs have 2 distinct functions, the urinary and the propagative, right? Of course, we know we gotta use it to pee, right? And then the propagating, which is the function that most people are using it for now, but I mean, they're not trying to reproduce. They're just using it for pleasure. It's unfortunate. And then of course, the propagative function, the natural result of the propagative function, a child, is the responsibility that neither party wants to take, but they've gotten to the act anyway. This is the irony of the modern world. This sucks. We affirm that they have 3. Hey, this is what I was talking about, really. The urinary, the propagative, and the amative. They are conductors of first of the urine, secondly of the semen, and thirdly of the social magnetism. Look at what this guy is talking about. Look at what this guy is talking about. Social magnets. He already knew from years ago. This is 1844 this dude wrote the book, right? Or 20 years, 1864. He already knew that if you are not sleeping with people, right, you are able to have a better social life, which means, you know, no contention amongst men, which is what the book of Reuben was talking about, right? The Testament of Reuben. And social solidarity, you are sooner to achieve social solidarity, right? He already knew this stuff. I'm telling you guys, this is part of the reason why you need to be on semen retention. This is why you need to be sexually continent. If you're not, it's over. The contention amongst men is real. What has happened now, right, is that we have sort of not prioritized sexual continence. We have not prioritized the saving of your essence. What it is now is just wasting and spurting and exploding all over the street. Eventually, right, all water goes down, Leonardo da Vinci, and we just don't care about that stuff. What is celebrated is a man with political power. What is celebrated is a man with money. What is celebrated is a man with things. What is not celebrated is the man that doesn't desire things, the man that doesn't desire the change and the ebbs and flows of the emotional state, the celibate man. That is that. We're going to continue this. It's the end of part 1. We're going to continue this in the next part. So stay with me. We're going to analyze this book yet. Aldous Huxley will be a common name to you guys, and of course, the stuff that he wrote. So stay tuned. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't let this place get you down ever. And stay radiant. We'll see you guys in the next part of the video.